Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗶𝗺𝗲 and I'm a business coach for authors over at 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗶𝗵𝗏.com. It's a widely known fact for people who have been in our industry for some time that traditional publishers do not cost anything upfront. That is absolutely true, and there's a big difference between a publisher and a vanity press. So I do want to just preface up front that I know the difference between the two, and this is not about that. Vanity presses, if anyone asks you to pay money up front for your book, they are definitely a vanity press. They might be a hybrid publisher, which is a little bit different, but the difference between a hybrid and a vanity is that a vanity will have lots of red flags that they're trying to rip you off. They'll have hidden costs, they'll try and charge you more for different things. Like, for example, they might sign you on for a package which is meant to be all-inclusive, but then they might mask their editing as like a manuscript evaluation, and then they might do that, and then they might say, well, to actually get the editing, it's going to cost another, X, Y, Z. So it's something like that, hidden costs. They don't follow through on their promises. They do a really poor job in general of delivering. They don't stick to their agreements. There's lots of things that kind of go on with a vanity press that's just basically set up to rip authors off. And a hybrid is like a done-for-you service for publishers, and they will have something valuable to bring to the table, and they will follow through on their promises, and they will not have hidden costs. So that's basically the difference there. And a traditional publisher, you won't pay anything up front with them. Their job is that they are signing into an agreement with you. They have an agreement for how you will get paid versus how they will get paid. It's a royalty split where everyone's getting paid a certain percentage, and they will not charge you anything up front. So they will handle your editing, your cover design, your formatting, all of those things, and they will have team members that will get paid to do that for you without you having to pay anything, right? So that is basically the difference there. But what a lot of people don't understand about traditional publishing is that there are still costs, right? And this is kind of why I have really mixed feelings about traditional publishing in general, and especially agents. I see a lot of agents who discourage authors from spending money on themselves and their books, and I just don't like that approach to it as someone who is in business and runs an author business. Because while I would never tell my authors, if they're trying to get traditionally published, I would never tell them to go spend money on an editor, because that's pointless. You're going to get editing, it's just going to be an extra expense that you don't need to spend. I might advise them to maybe get a critique if they're unsure if the book is ready to be published. A critique is a way less, it's a much more affordable form of editing where they're just kind of getting feedback on what could be improved to polish it for submitting it. That's something that might be helpful. But a lot of agents will say, oh, they shouldn't spend any money, and I just don't agree with that, because there's still costs. Even when you're with a publisher, you still have to have a website. You're going to pay for your own website hosting. You're probably going to pay for your own email software to build an email list. You're probably going to do a lot of marketing work, and you're probably going to be running around doing a lot of the, getting your book into bookstores and booking events and stuff. Only with a very big publisher will they take care of that stuff for you, and even then, not every big author who's signed with a big publisher will get that kind of support. It really depends how well your books are doing. With the small presses, it's really unlikely, because I've been in that position. I used to do marketing for a small press, and I was the only person in the marketing department. I was the person marketing for all the books, and there were I don't know, at least 12 books. So try marketing for your book and realize how difficult that is, and then try to market for 12 books. And that's a whole thing. So depending on the size of the publisher, that will depend how much of a marketing team they have, and that will vary depending on what they can and cannot do, especially depending on what they're getting paid. Even when I was doing the marketing for my small press, I still had another job that paid me, so it wasn't like I could dedicate all my hours to doing marketing for all these books. I had to be really system orientated to make sure everyone got what they needed, and to really organize my time effectively. Getting to my point of this video, there are costs that you're probably going to be aware of, because they're going to come up, because you're going to have to pay for various things. You're going to have to pay for various things as you go. You might have to pay for author headshots and just things like that that are going to benefit the growth of your author brand and career long term. But then there's also costs that come out of your royalties, right? And so you might be wondering, if you look at your contract and you look at your royalties and you look at what you're earning, where all the extra money is going, right? And so it's not a secret that when you are with a publisher, a traditional publisher, you're going to get less royalty than if you were self-published, right? And a lot of people are okay with that. They are really happy to be with a publisher who supports them, and the publisher gets them to a certain number of books sold per year, and they make a certain amount of money, and that's fine. And like, there's literally nothing wrong with this. I know that for some people, publishing is the right choice for them. So I always encourage my authors to go down that path when they feel like that's the right choice for them. But for a lot of people, they think, oh, it's the best path because I don't have to pay anything, and that's just going to support me for where I'm at. But they don't think about the long-term picture, right? And that's what I want to explain for you today. So in my contract, I had a very specific wording around what I would get paid as an author, right? And it was something like you would get 40% of gross earnings, which didn't mean I'd get 40% of book sales. It meant I got 40% of whatever was left over. So essentially I was getting 6% of the sales in general, and everyone else was taking a larger cut. So if you look at the standard averages for what people are earning in the traditional publishing world, you'll notice that these are averages, but the publisher will earn about 33% of the sales, and everyone else who has a hand in it will earn between 10 to 20%. So your agent might take 10%, distributors and printers and bookstores are all going to take 20%, and you're going to be left with whatever's left, right? And so the reason that they do this, which is smart from a business sense, and I totally get it, is that everyone else involved has staff members, they have overheads, and they have more costs than you do as the individual just writing the books, right? And so it makes sense that they would take a larger cut because they have more things to pay for and they have more things to worry about, and so that's fine. And I totally think that people should get paid for the value that they're giving and the services that they're helping you with, especially because a publisher is taking care of a lot of things like editing and cover design and whatnot. So we can acknowledge that and we can say, yes, you know, that makes sense. But at the end of the day, you're still the one running around doing all the marketing. You're still the one who came up with the book idea and wrote it in the first place. So why is it fair that everyone else is profiting off of your ideas and getting a bigger cut than you? You're getting the littlest cut. When I was with my publisher, I was making 80 cents per book sale as a result of what was left over. And that was not big. It meant that I had to sell 100,000 books a year to replace a full-time salary to be able to make a living off of writing. And that was going to take me a lot of time to do if it was ever going to happen being with a small publisher, right? And so that was something I had to look at, and I had to look at, okay, I'm making 80 cents per book sale, everyone else is making at least a couple of dollars in comparison, and everyone else is getting paid because I'm running around selling the book. I'm the one out there marketing it and making sure it sells. No one else is doing that work, they're just getting paid as a result. This is a big reason why I left my publisher, because when I took the publisher out, I got the 33% cut because I became the publisher. So it actually went up to me earning 39%, which meant I earned the biggest royalty of everyone else now. And people around me who help me still get paid a good amount, and they still get paid to pay their overheads and to pay their expenses, and I'm totally on board with that. I believe in everyone getting a fair cut, but I also believe that it's my ideas and it's my book and I'm the one doing the majority of the work, so I should get paid the majority cut. And so that's kind of how I looked at it, right? And so now that you understand the percentages going on, where is all that money going? Why is the publisher getting such a big cut? Again, they're paying their staff with it, right? But this is how it works in relation to your book sales. And this is why you're actually losing money long term. So I had to do math because I'm not good at math. So if we take the example, right? If I am earning 80 cents per book sale and I sell 20,000 books a year, which I know this is like, I just want to preface, by the way, I know that 20,000 books per year, that could go up or down, that could increase or decrease over the years. It doesn't mean you're going to make exactly that much. It doesn't mean you're going to sell exactly that many every year, I know that. But for the sake of keeping this example easy, we're just going to assume that every year you will sell 20,000 books and you will earn, you know, these percentages, just so you understand the example and you can look at the difference. So if I were earning 80 cents per book sale and I were selling 20,000 books per year, I would earn $16,000 per year off of my writing, which, I mean, it's not bad as a side income, you know, a bit of extra money coming in. to be with a traditional publisher and earn that, and I didn't have to spend anything up front, so that's cool. If my book is available for 60 years, then my earning potential there, if we assume that I don't earn any more and I don't earn any less, my earning potential is $960,000 over the book's lifetime, right? And like, that's still great. Like if I had 10 books and I was making that much every year, then that would be great to earn that much from every book over the book's lifetime, right? It would definitely set me up with some additional income streams, and over time it would build to be a very profitable thing that I'm doing, right? So we can look at it that way, and we can be happy with that. We can go, yeah, that's great. I like getting paid that way. That's fine. A lot of people are on board with that, and they don't want to spend upfront capital, and that's fine. But I want you to see the other side of this, and I want you to see the comparison. So assuming that you get your book length right and you get your pricing right, and you kind of have all the variables working in your favor, you could earn up to $5 per royalty per book. And I mean, you're probably going to get to about $4.50. So that's the example I'm using, and you might earn less than that too, and that's fine. But let's say you're earning $4.50 per book, right? And again, you sell 20,000 books per year, and you do that over 60 years. So every year, you would be earning $90,000 from being self-published in comparison to what you'd earn with a traditional publisher, which is only $16,000, right? So that's already a huge difference. And if you were earning that much per book over 60 years, over the book's entire lifetime, and this is just for one book, not even for if you had 10 books, you would earn $5,400,000. Can you see what a huge, significant difference that is? That's almost $4 million difference in your sales. So yeah, there's no upfront costs. You don't spend anything upfront, but there are still costs because you're losing $4 million in your sales, in sales that you should be entitled to because you're doing the work. It's your book ideas, it's your books. And the thing is, the reason this is happening, like let's look at this, right? Let's say you had an editor who worked on your book for 3 months, right? And then you had a cover designer who spent a week working on the book cover. And then you had a formatter who worked on the book for a day, right? Yes, they should get paid for the work they did for your book, but what's happening is that the publisher is taking 33% of your earnings. They're taking almost $4 million of your sales over the book's entire lifetime to pay their staff and to pay, for printing and all of that, which is fine. People are getting paid out of your book royalties for your book's entire lifetime, not just the time that they spent working on it, right? So for as long as your book is selling through that publisher, the staff members are getting paid from your book earnings. So at that $4 million, that should be yours. And if we look at the upfront costs of self-publishing, you can produce a really quality book upfront, self-publishing, with a budget of about $2,000, maybe even less than that. If you were to pay for a single editor, and I would recommend choosing the one that you have the weakest skill point in. So if you really struggle with proofreading, hire the proofreader. If you really struggle with developmental, hire the developmental editor. Ideally, you want to be paying for all the rounds of editing, but if we're operating on a tight budget, you can do it on $2,000 by hiring the good editor that you need and getting a good cover design and maybe having a little bit of marketing budget there. You can easily do it that way. That's really not a big investment in comparison to your earning potential over 60 years that you are losing by going through a publisher. $4 million, you guys. $4,500,000 if you were to sell 20,000 books per year, which I know, again, all of this really depends on you actually selling 20,000 books per year. I get that. But even if you sold half of that, even if you sold a quarter of that, you would still earn more than if you were with a publisher. And that's just such a significant difference in your earnings that you are losing. And so I don't think it's really a question of all the variables and if this were to come exactly together and if you were to happen to sell that many books per year and if you were to sell books consistently. The thing is that if you treat your writing like a business and you make decisions like one from day one based on where you want to be rather than where you are, and you also work to have the systems in place and the sales processes in place that you can reach for those goals. You may not hit those goals, but you could get very close to hitting those goals every year. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be one book. You might produce 10 books and collectively they may sell that much. Or if you have 10 books and just one of them does very well, you're gonna make so much money from indie publishing compared to that upfront saving in in traditional publishing. And again, I'm not saying that going down the traditional route is bad. For some people, that's the way they want to do it. They don't want to have to do all this extra work. They don't want to be in the business of authorship. They just want to write. I want them to understand what is possible for them when they look at things with a business mindset. That's why I do what I do. I get people to understand the business side of publishing and look at things with a business mindset. And I get them to make decisions like that. And I get them to operate their publishing like that. At the end of the day, writing books is not all about money. And I'm sure you didn't get started in authorship because you wanted to make a ton of money. You just wanted to tell stories. But I also believe that it is important for you to get compensated for your work and get compensated well. Because you getting compensated is how you have the resources to keep publishing. It's how you have the resources to get your book into the hands of more readers by investing in better marketing. It's how you have the resources to grow your brand and to be well compensated, to feel like you have your needs met to be able to keep writing. And it's how you're not going to have to work in a day job to be able to write full time. So I do believe that the money piece is important and we do need to talk about it. And the fact that people don't talk about it in this industry, the fact that people are afraid to talk about pricing and sales and what they make in publishing is the reason this conversation isn't happening, and it's the reason that people do not have this awareness. And I think it's time that we change that. I also think that it is a huge myth that writing is not profitable. I think that this is all being hidden from people. And I think that I am proof that you can make a full-time living from writing and writing-related ventures in so many ways. I have been paid over the years to write blogs, to write video game scripts, to write novels, to do copywriting, to teach writing workshops, to coach authors. There's so many ways that I have been paid from my books and from being an author, and you have the opportunities to tap into this as well if you're willing to invest the time and the energy and learn the skill sets. And I think the bigger problem is that a lot of people are not willing to do that, or they let their excuses of how they don't have enough time and they don't have enough energy get in the way of what's actually possible for them. If you believed that it was possible and you believed that you could do it and that it was undeniably possible and you believed that it was inevitable that you would be successful, wouldn't you go do that? And so I just wanted to leave you with this because I just think it's important to talk about this. And I feel a little bit like I'm revealing something I shouldn't be in this video, but I do want you to understand the difference here. So that is based on my experiences, having been published, having worked in houses. It's based on what I've done my research around. And I know that not every publishing house will work with these exact averages, and they may have a slightly different structure in place for their authors. Some publishers don't have to pay printers because they have printers. Like, I get that there's lots of different variables going on, but at the end of the day, that you're still going to make more through indie publishing. And I think that people let that upfront investment get in the way of what's actually possible for them. So that is all I'm going to say. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about what I do and check out some other resources that I have, that's all linked in the description box below, and I will chat to you guys in the next video. Okay.